gotta sneak around. We switch sides.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find like the perfect
Angle.
Yeah.
All right. It is December.
Woo!
And so we have already passed the Thanksgiving. Some of you have fallen off the wagon.
Yeah. It's also, can I say, it's also Dennis's birthday today.
Yes.
Woo! Special birthday episode.
39.
Yeah.
Like a day over 25. And so Erica and I wanted to kind of discuss how do we get through the holidays. And I will say kind of an overarching theme regarding this is I like the idea of everyone's super worried about what they eat between Christmas and New Year's. And you really should be more worried about what you eat between New Year's and Christmas, right? And so that's kind of, I would say, listen, you got to make sure the rest of your year is going well.
Because I think that goes back to what we preach a lot of. It's what you do the majority of the time, not what you do once in a while. So New Year's to Christmas, right, we're talking about the whole year. That's the majority of the time. And then the holiday season is the once in a while.
Yes.
It's not the norm.
And you'll hear, average American gains 10 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's. Sounds very shocking. It is not something that's crazy to be able to do, especially with salt and water retention. Now, is most people gaining 10 pounds of body fat in that time? In that time, probably not. Right? So if we want to do rough math, that's about an excess of 35,000 calories over the course of a 6-week window. That's a lot of extra calories, and you would have to be very deliberate to make sure
you'd have to almost be trying.
Yeah.
To do, a lot.
Which you might be.
Right, which is fine. A lot of it is just water weight, and a big thing too, like maybe during this time, don't weigh yourself, right? Like you can go based on how do my clothes feel, how am I feeling in this workout, how's my sleep, how are those things. You don't need to weigh yourself, right? Like the scale can be, as someone who is in a body weight sport, the scale is very easy to manipulate. And you can gain and lose very quickly, but it's a lot of that's water weight. Like we were saying, like a lot of the foods we eat now have a lot more sodium in them. It being colder, I think a lot of people struggle to drink enough water because it's colder, so you don't realize you're as thirsty. And so that happens, right? Like you're dehydrated, you're eating more salty foods, so that scale is gonna go up. But like Dennis said, like that's not 10 pounds of fat. It's just water weight.
And Erica pointed out it's my birthday. And so as an example, when we talk about this kind of jokingly, but like my favorite dessert is pumpkin pie. It's only available like right now. And so I choose that I'll eat an entire pumpkin pie, but just the inside of it for a couple of reasons. I look at what is it that I like about the thing I'm eating, and I would like to eat more of that and not eat the, filler portion. So like when we're making choices to eat certain foods and those types of things, we have to remember that anything we eat has a cost, right? Like there's a certain number of calories your body will burn on a daily basis. And if you don't want to move the scale negatively, or you want your clothes to fit nicely throughout the rest of the holiday season, you need to pay attention, okay? And we've talked about this before a little bit, during certain other things, but never sacrifice protein to eat other stuff. There's lots of different items. Holiday parties are kind of on the fence, right? Some places are canceling, some places are having them. People are
Our party's still on next Friday.
Our party's still on, it's still happening. There's desserts, there's whatevers. Starbucks Christmas beverages, whatever, okay? Listen, enjoy those things, but balance it out throughout the day.
Right. And like I'm always a big fan of, so say you're going to a holiday party and you know there's gonna be a lot of desserts or just a lot of carb things or, whatever. So I always like to look at all of the food that's there at this party. And then are there certain things that I don't normally have? Like, like pumpkin pie. It's not something you have year round. And if that's something that you really love and want to have, okay, I'm definitely going to have some of that. What can I balance that with? Like, let me also get some vegetables in there, make sure I have a protein in there. If there's something that's there and you're like, I could have this anytime, I don't need it right now. Maybe we don't have that thing and you have something else that you enjoy, so you don't feel like you're missing out and you're sacrificing, but you're also not like, well, I have to eat all of this, it's here, I have to have it all, right? You kind of pick and choose what it is you want to have because it's that time of year, it's only available this time, or my aunt only makes these cookies at this time, so I gotta have some of those, and then you balance it.
A little bit of planning goes a long way,
Mm-hmm.
right? With most of these places and things that, parties and stuff that are happening, you can find out what's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm gonna secret time, hope for the best is probably the worst strategy we could have, because I'll tell you what you're gonna do. There won't be as much protein as you hope there is.
Yeah.
And then so you're just gonna be like, screw it, I'm gonna eat a shit ton of carbs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna be like, or you're gonna be like, I'm waiting for the food, and you're drinking alcohol.
Right.
And then you're like, I don't feel good. Then you're gonna eat a shit ton of carbs.
Right.
Right? And so
Yeah.
you set yourself up for bad
If
situations.
you know you're going to a party and there's going to be a lot of food and you're like, so I'm not going to eat all day so then I can eat more when I'm there, that's a really bad idea. Because you're going to be so hungry by the time you get there that you're going to want fattier things, carbier things.
Anything.
Yeah. And probably not protein, because I feel like it's just not going to seem as appetizing when you're so hungry, especially if you've been drinking, and then that's when you're really going to overeat and then not feel good and then wake up the next day and be like, I shouldn't have done that, So if you're gonna go to a party, like Dennis said, I'm sure you can figure out the food that's gonna be there. It's gonna be there, what you're gonna wanna have. Try and keep your day leading up to that as normal as possible, and maybe that's like, we talked before about having those like staple foods. So for me, like that breakfast sandwich is a staple food for me. But if I know I'm gonna go somewhere and I'm gonna want more carb things later, I might not have the sandwich. I might just make like eggs, bacon, and then maybe throw some vegetables in there so it's, a little more filling, and then not have the bread. So like if I ate pie, I would eat the crust, so like that would kind of balance out for me. But if you again don't know those staples, or you don't have those things that you like your go-to meals, it's gonna make it a little harder because you're like, shit, I have this party later, I don't know what to eat today, and then you kind of end up eating nothing and then overeating.
What would you say, would you have any tips for someone like, okay, I know I'm gonna eat bad food. It's a lot of bad food I don't normally eat, and I'm probably gonna drink. Tips to help them not feel as crappy the next couple of days, like what would help buffer that?
So one big thing would be drinking water. Ideally for every alcoholic beverage you have, you should also be having some water following that. But even if just leading up to going to this party, you're hydrated, that's really gonna go a long way. I think knowing you're gonna drink, but also maybe give yourself that limit of like, is it a specialty cocktail that's only offered this time of year, or, the different IPAs that are out for this time of year, and tell yourself, all right, I'm only gonna have 2 of these, and kind of space it out so you can enjoy it. I feel like it's different if your plan's like, I know I wanna get drunk, as opposed to I wanna just have this beverage to enjoy it because I like it. But I would definitely say be hydrated going into it. And again, part of it, if you know you're gonna eat bad, it might also just be accept you're gonna eat bad and it's one day, and then that next day you just go back to eating normal. Like I had a few people when we were talking through Thanksgiving and like what the plan was gonna be. For some people we had like a really strict plan of what we were gonna do. Some people it was just, it's one day, enjoy that day, and then the next day you just go back to eating normal. You don't do any sort of cleanse to make up for it, or fast, or whatever, and you also don't let one day turn into 4 days. You keep it to that one day.
Yeah, I think, we've hinted at it a bunch of times, that dehydration,
Mm-hmm.
right? the more hydrated you are, the less likely you're going to be to just eat bad things, but also seeking out that salty food to bring those water molecules in, I think will be really good. It's also going to help buffer everything, right? So your body's going to be able to get rid of the garbage, the bad, the whatever you want to call it, easier because it's well hydrated.
Right.
I would say too, a lot of these bad eating things are happening at parties, right? And so I think maintaining your normal bedtime and your schedule helps, one, avoid making more bad decisions, but also helps keep you kind of used to getting as much sleep as you're normally used to. You know, there's a joke that nothing good ever happens after 11. Like, it's fairly accurate, especially as we are all adults now. But, you know, again, you staying up super late, eating a whole bunch of bad food, and drinking more alcohol than you need or should you have, who is it hurting most?
Right.
You. And then the next day, you feel like total garbage. You miss your workout, or you don't get enough sleep, and you just kind of trudge through the day, and you are celebrating.
Right. You know, I think remembering too, it's the holiday season, and you know, a lot of us, like we said before, like there's different foods available. You know, we're getting together more often. Maybe, you know, everyone's plans are different now, but you know, you're kind of doing things more out of the norm, but still remembering that you still have these goals you want to accomplish. You still have these things that you want to do, and like it's just, in a way, like it's just food, you know. So like you don't need to eat all of it. You can also go to a party, eat some things, and then take some things home, and then kind of spread it out. Like, you know, if there's 2 different pies that are there and you like both of them, and you're like, I don't want to eat 2 slices of pie tonight. Okay, eat one there at the party, take another slice home, and have it the next day, instead of feeling like I have to eat all of this now, or I'm never going to be able to have it again. Like, you know, that's also not true. You can make a to-go plate. You probably can have some of these things other times. This isn't like your only opportunity to have it. And if you do feel like it is, okay, have that thing, and then maybe not have something else, right? Like kind of pick and choose what those things are that you want. But I think also during this time, like Dennis was saying, keeping your routine as normal as possible is huge. You know, like wake up at the same time, stick to your same gym schedule, your same like bedtime routine, all of those things, even trying to keep your food as normal as possible. So when you do go to a party and maybe you eat a little bit more, you drink a little bit more, you're not gonna feel as bad because the majority of what you're doing is the norm, it's the same.
And when you're saying physically as bad.
Yes, yeah.
Like the psychological aspect of that is a different conversation.
Right.
And if you're feeling like you need to beat yourself up about your food choices, like you gotta take a step back and really look at things. And that's okay. Everyone has those challenges and whatever. I would say I feel the opposite for myself personally with like take a plate home. Like I'd rather not have the option to eat more of it.
Okay.
And it just requires less willpower on my end.
Yeah, like it's
like
not
if
there.
I'm like, all right, I got this one situation that I'm dealing with. I'm gonna enjoy myself there, and then as soon as I leave, it's gone and done.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it
It's
anymore.
on its own. Okay.
That for me.
Yeah.
Right. But again, this is again our differences in opinion. There is finding what works best.
Right.
For each of us.
Yes.
Right. So you know we want to make sure you enjoy those holiday parties, enjoy your time with your family, enjoy those meals. Again, one of my clients, you know, he's like, listen, we got Thanksgiving. These are things I want to eat. It's important to me. Monday Night Football, I'm going to watch with my dad and my brother. It's important to me. And then Christmas. Like, those are going to be bad.
Right.
How do I navigate through? And so our big conversations were regarding, okay, let's look at each one of those. What are the things you want to have in each one of those? Okay, cool. Well, the rest of the days we're going to eat these things. You know, you're going to the game. Cool. You tailgating? Yeah. All right. Are you guys eating food? Yes. are you guys cooking or buying? What's going on? We're cooking outside, right? So, all right, cool. Why don't you bring Veggie Platter with dip? They'll have meats. You can never go wrong with primarily going meats and vegetables.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like, and even almost any party you go to, I feel like there's always a Veggie Platter.
yeah.
So like even when you get there, maybe you just start kind of picking that Veggie Platter.
So let's talk about that. Like, what would you say are some like dark horse or like under the radar food options we would typically see at holiday parties that like, hey, you could make some really good choices here and not do anything bad?
Ooh, like I don't know, it's like shrimp cocktail.
That was my go-to.
Yeah, like shrimp is a great option. Right? Yeah,
it's all protein.
Yeah.
The cocktail sauce is just ketchup and horseradish.
Right.
So
like we said, Veggie Platter, any sort of fruit salad. Get some fruit in there. What are some other things?
I would go heavy on the Veggie Platter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who the hell decided like raw broccoli and cauliflower is tasty to anybody. I'll never do that. But if you got celery, carrots, and cucumbers and cherry tomatoes, what I'll do is like, because you hang around, you're there, you're talking, people are eating. I don't drink. So like, I'm like, well, I gotta do something with my hands or whatever. I will crush vegetables like that and kind of intersperse like spinach artichoke dip or whatever is there. But so I
would
would
that's
lean
it too. Like if
heavy.
there is some dips there, you could have those dips with a vegetable.
Yes.
You don't have to use the chips or a pita bread or something like that. And so then maybe that, like, you really want this the spinach artichoke dip, the spinach choke dip. So maybe you have that with some vegetable, and then you're like, okay, now I can have this pie, and that kind of balances your carbs for you. You know, instead of like, oh, I just had all these chips, and I also want this pie, and there's something else, you know.
The charcuteries usually aren't too bad either, right? Like, if you're someone who likes more low carb, that's a great spot to be. If you're needing protein, the meats are going to be a little bit higher in fat. Like, that's why I think both of us agree that the shrimp is like a money
like a
option.
good go-to,
Deviled eggs, is that usually is that a thing that people will do for this holiday, or is that more Easter?
I think it's this holiday. I think we usually
So deviled eggs are usually pretty
That'd
good.
be a good
Even
one.
if you don't like the inside and you just want to eat the egg whites, just don't make a big deal about it, right? A lot of the times when you're at parties, no one gives a shit what you do. Just don't make a big deal about it. Like, you make a big deal about it, they will give you attention in a negative manner. Just do your thing.
And there's gonna be a salad. I feel like I don't like.
Maybe.
No? Okay.
Might be like antipasto salad or you know.
Okay.
But I would say, okay, so we got shrimp cocktail, we got veggie tray, charcuterie, low carb option there.
Maybe some fruit.
Yeah, and then it depends on like what type of, is there a meat offering? Is it a full-on dinner or is it just a cocktail?
Like, do a lot of people do ham for Christmas? Is that a big thing?
I think so. I think Christmas ham.
Is like a thing. All right,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a ham person.
I don't mind it, but like see what kind of big meat option there is, and then plant like if it's something you like. All right, I'm gonna have some of that. What other vegetables are around, or what else is there that I can kind of have, with this? I'm trying to think what other like go-to Christmas foods there are.
Cookies.
Yeah.
Some people do like little meat roll-ups.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right, like tiny pickles and stuff like that. Those pickles.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Pickles aren't bad.
That's olives.
Yeah.
Right, those are normally out. I wish I liked olives.
The places that I think people not go wrong, because none of it's wrong, but like, how do you sabotage yourself, I think is a better thing, is the really carb heavy items, and you just crush them with no balance of the vegetables or the proteins. And I think that's the situations that people get themselves into, and they're like, I don't understand, right? And it's like, if you go with these, we'll say relatively empty carbohydrate dishes, right? The breads, and you're just crushing bread bowl, but you're like, I'm not gonna do a lot of dip, because the dip is the bad thing.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you ate like 5 slices of bread. You have like that pumpernickel bread loaf thing, right? And you're like, I love bread. And that, the cookies, right? They add up. The pastry-esque type dishes that you're like,
And
oh,
look,
it
when
doesn't
he
seem
says
too bad.
when he said empty carbohydrates, he means like you're not getting like a lot of nutrients from this, right? So like to go back to fruit, like a lot of people get nervous to eat fruit because it's higher in sugar, but there's also a lot of nutrients in fruit. So it's not just sugar like you would have in a cookie, or there's really no other nutrients in there. So that's what we mean by like empty, right? Like there's nothing to it, kind of. I think another kind of, and again, I want to say like mistake, but like a thought pattern maybe people get into around this time is thinking, well, I'm just going to do whatever for this time, and then we'll just like start again in New Year's, right? It's very similar to the like, well, forget this week, we'll just start on Monday. And then, from like this like Thanksgiving leading into Christmas, it's like, I'll just, January 1st, I got it, I'll be back on it.
No, you don't.
And, right, and you don't need to wait until January to be like, okay, I'm going to be on it now, right? It's really about learning, how do I live my life in a healthy way all the time, not just a few weeks here, a few weeks here, screw it when it comes to the holidays, we're going to go all out and feel like shit, and then we got to get back on it, right? It's how do I have this balanced lifestyle all the time?
Because you just end up doing 2 steps forward, 2 steps back all the time, right? And then you feel stuck. Well, you are. And so, it's how do I be able to do all of these things and live? Not how do I do this some of the time.
Right. And I think if you do end up having a really shitty day, we have all been there where maybe we thought we had a game plan or we were going to do really well, and then we just didn't, and we ended up overeating or over drinking or whatever. You don't need to beat yourself up about it. You don't need to make up for it. You need to just wake up the next day and then do the best you can that day and keep moving forward. I think that's a big thing too, is you don't need to punish yourself if you do eat something or overeat something. Like, around this time, it's gotten kind of better, but you might see a lot of things on social media about like, this food is, X amount of calories, which would be this many burpees or blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, stop. You don't need to burn off that cookie you ate. If you do overeat, you just move on with your life, right? And we do better the next time. Ideally, in the situation, we make good choices so we don't ever feel like, oh, I overate and I fucked everything up and, whatever. But there's never a reason to punish yourself for going to a party, for eating something, for drinking something. Like, don't do that.
For a normal person who doesn't have any disease conditions, one meal's never ruined anything.
Right.
Okay?
It's never going to be this day. It was like the make it or break it day.
There isn't one of
It's
those.
just not how it works.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's the accumulation of those
Yeah.
things, right?
It's like, especially we've talked before about how you in the past really tried to like outwork a bad diet. Like if I just work out more, it's like, oh, that doesn't actually work.
No.
It's not, so it's like, if you do have a bad day, it's okay. It's one day. Again, out of the whole year, move on with your life,
So, enjoy the holidays. Plan when
Mm-hmm.
you're going to your parties, right? Make sure you're eating water or drinking
You're
water.
hydrated. Try and keep the day as normal as possible leading up to the party or the thing you're going to.
And meat and veggies are never a bad choice.
Yeah, can never go wrong with those.
So we got holiday party on the 10th.
Yeah.
If you haven't RSVP'd, please do so.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have 2 more videos before. 2 more videos or 3?
Two more.
We'll have a couple more before
Christmas. Yeah.
So if you have any topics.
I was gonna say, or if you have any specific questions about how to navigate the holidays, any specific foods or things you want us to maybe talk about. I know like maybe during this time everyone's schedules are a little different, so if there's something around that you want to talk about.
Anything related to how do I maintain myself during the crazy holiday season.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
All right.
All right.
We will see you next week.
Bye guys.